Minister, as we enter the school holiday season for some children with autism, nothing will have changed. According to the NCSE, recently published policy advice on autism in 2017, that there was and still is a significant body of children with autism within the community who do not go to school at all and will this month see no difference to the usual day-to-day schedule now that school is out for most other children. And I would like to just take this opportunity just to read one part of your own speech and the record, because I think it's very interesting and it seems to be just stuck in there. So you say that in relation to the use of reduced timetables by schools, my department of Education Skills has a firm view that all pupils who are enrolled in a school should attend for the full day, unless exempted from doing so in exceptional circumstances. Reduced timetables should not be used as a behavioural management technique or as a de facto suspension or expulsion, nor does any provision exist for the use of reduced timetables for particular pupils. Where schools apply a shorter school day in relation to a child, such arrangements should be put in place in exceptional circumstances in order to assist a pupil to return to school, for example, where a pupil has been experiencing an absence due to medical or mental health related condition. Any such arrangement should be a transitionary arrangement which is designed, for example, to assist the reintegration of a pupil to a school environment. In making such arrangements, school authorities should be mindful of the best interests of the child and of the child's right to a full day in school. And then you go on the next page to something completely different. You know, Minister, you're not a bystander in this. You are the Minister that's responsible. You can make these things happen. You have to take control of it, and that's unfortunately what has to happen, because it's all right to say these things, but you're the Minister and you can make it happen. You can make it happen, and that's, I think, it's vitally important. And while it's unfathomable that there are children in a state who do not have any schooling, there remain persistent reasons behind this statistic. According to the As I Am survey, in some instances, these students have simply been failed by the state in terms of inadequate levels of autism or special class provision, and the obligations on the state under the Education of Persons with Special Education Needs Act 2004 to provide an appropriate school place for every child. The survey also found that in other instances, students have a school place in theory. They appear on the roll book, and from the point of view of the officials, all is well. However, the reality is totally removed from this. These students may be reduced to a partial school day at the school that they attend, despite the fact that this is illegal. These students may be suspended or expelled, not for negative behaviour or the traditional sense, but literally because they are autistic and go unsupported in school. They may irregularly or almost never attend school due to overarching anxiety or a lack of suitably trained teachers, but continue to be enrolled as normal. There are over 850 children with special educational needs receiving home tuition while awaiting a school placement in the 2017-2018 year. And while these children are receiving an education, they are still excluded from the community and isolated from other children of their own age. If you were to ask those children would they prefer to learn at home with other children, they would undoubtedly say that they wanted to attend school. I want to commend the incredible survey work carried out by As I Am, who provides much on the basis from which this motion and our contributions work from, as it is the most comprehensive policy document on the issue of autism and special needs education to date. There is no single action or solution that will address the crisis, and that's the difficulty for yourself as well, Minister. The Department of Education and Skills has clearly failed to appropriately adapt the school system to be autism friendly, and has allowed for there to be a lack of regulation around how schools treat autistic students and their families. I want to echo As I Am and other organisations who have been calling for reform and ask the Government to adequately and comprehensively address the range of outstanding issues, such as the need for more autism classes, improved infrastructure, better training, teacher training, and an obligation placed on schools to be fully inclusive. On the subject of increased number of autism classes, I'm sure everyone here feels like it's Groundhog Day, as we've been calling for increased classes for many years now, and still there's a chronic underinvestment in this particular area. I also believe that we need reform in the way statutory services deliver for children with special needs such as TUSLA and the HSE, which have failed in their own respective roles to provide the support and to prevent students falling out of school or to help them to return. Over 91% of parents surveyed by As I Am said that their child or children were experiencing exclusion or extended absences from school while not receiving any support from TUSLA. Most importantly, and which this motion attempts to address, is the issue of waiting lists for children to get their first assessment of needs, with over 3,568 children waiting nationally at the end of March. It has been said that the assessment of needs system is in disarray, with flagrant disregard for the statutory time limits. Proposals to bring in a new operating procedure involving a 90-minute assessment have rightly been met with criticism by therapists, parents and unions. Better teacher training in terms of ensuring that teachers are adequately trained to deal with children with autism and related issues. It has been brought to my attention that there may be issues indeed in relation to the interview processes that schools use, where it has become political in some jurisdictions depending on who is on the board of management, etc. And that is a failing in our children as well, I think, and it needs to be addressed. I have been notified that some SNAs have had difficulty getting an interview at all, despite having degrees and adequate experiences and everything else, because of the management structures within our schools. This is always possible. And some teachers may need additional supports to carry out further training, and this should be provided by the department as well. I want to end on echoing sentiment by Inclusion Ireland that 13 years after the Disability Act was brought into law, it is time to admit that there has been a failure, and it is time to admit that the government has failed the children of the state by not defending their right to education. They have a right to an assessment of need, not the right to wait on endless waiting lists, and they have a right to an early intervention imperative if children are to enjoy positive outcomes, and if we are to see children with learning disabilities and special needs start life on an equal playing field as children everywhere else, and that's vitally important. Thank you.
Matty McGrath or